Here we are down at the Cameron Home Center. Today we're going to talk about swapping over the gasket on your catalyst in your Blaze King wood stove. Of course, you want to be doing regular checks and maintenance, and if you're anything like me, your Blaze King is not going to be turned off in the wintertime season, which means you're going to have to cool this thing down before you work on it, unless you want to scold your pecker. That will happen. The maintenance involved in any Blaze King unit that you have, doesn't matter which one you're looking at, are gonna have the same symptoms. But what you want to look for is if your fire that might start coming up around the outside edges of the glass is a sign that the gasket isn't seating well on the main door. The second consideration, you're gonna get used to what your Blaze King fire is like. And if you notice it's losing a bit of efficiency, not quite getting up to the temperatures you want in the room, when this is burning, the catalyst, when the temperature's up a bit more on the thermostat, is going to glow. And if you see little pockets inside the catalyst that is not burning consistently across the face, may indicate that it's time to clean your cat out, and also may indicate that the gasket is having some leakage around the outside edge, and I'm going to show you that today. So this right here is what it's going to look like when you get a brand new Blaze King stove. This right here is a shield. It's really going to keep heavy debris and some of the direct flames off of the catalyst. But what you're going to be looking for is inconsistencies in the catalyst when she's glowing. So if you're getting non-uniform airflow, it could indicate that there's some blockages in there, a little bit of debris, ash buildup. Now the trick with this is you really don't want to beat these things up because they do have precious metals in them. You can see that grate there. I love the quality of this stuff. It's just incredible. You don't want to be blowing them out with high pressured hoses. The trick is to be super gentle. You don't want to wear those precious metals off of here because that is how the magic happens. You're getting those precious metals up to temperature, and that's acting as a catalyst to ignite the secondary gases coming out of the stove. So you want to keep this intact, be gentle with it, prevent even touching it too much. Here we go. So you just want to get in here, using an Alpha knife, but flathead screwdriver or anything like that will work wonders. And just be nice and gentle pulling it out. There you go. That right there is what the catalyst looks like. It's got like honeycombs inside of here. And if this isn't packed in here nice, there's a gasket kit that you can get and you replace it around the outside edge, and that's gonna keep the airflow from going around the catalyst without going through the combustor itself. So what you wanna do is really gently with a fine tip on your vac and get in there and suck out all the grooves. You don't wanna be rubbing hard across the face or scrubbing this thing, but just making sure you get all of the debris and ash or any soot buildup out of all the little honeycombs is what you're looking to do. And if you do it from both sides, is going to be the most effective way to do that. And you'll be good as new. There you go, nice snug fit. Just slide it in there nice and consistently and then give it a little wiggle. Make sure there's no air spaces around it. Want to get your primary shield up on this guy again. Triangles up. And that's going to protect that catalyst from any direct flame or debris that's up in that area. There you go, we're ready to start another fire. The next thing I'm gonna mention is Blaze King uses two different styles of latches. This is the Blaze King Princess, and you'll see that it just has the standard latch on it. You can get a little bit of wear on your handle assembly as well as the latch hook there over time. The other style or latch assembly, like you're gonna see on the Boxer, the Ashford series. So this is a frictionless system, and you can see in here, it's a little bit of a roller in there on a bolt. Going to the Ashford, the sexy handle. I love this thing. It's like picking up a machete. Similar style there as well. Just a different orientation on the handle. You can see a little bit of a cam action in there as she locks into the stove. We're gonna go to the Granddaddy Blaze King 40. So what I was gonna actually do was to show you the maintenance, because I'm about due on my stove to check the gaskets on the stove and tighten up the latch. I'm ready to do that in mine, but we got a bit of a cold flash right now and I don't want to cool my house down. So I'm going to show you on the display model. Here we go. So first thing we're going to do in here right now is loosen off the primary latch. That's this guy right here. Now, the Blaze King is large enough that I could probably actually climb into the firebox. There you go. So double nut system. Basically just need to crack those guys there. Voila, and now you have a loosened off latch assembly. You basically have a nut on this side here and then a secondary on the outside, and then you're gonna end up loosening the latch off. Now the trick with these guys is you want to make small adjustments because it's really easy to crank it down a little too much, and then you really have to push into it to crank down and close the door. Now that's not ideal, obviously, because this is a friction point here and it's gonna give premature wear on your latch assembly. And you don't want to be replacing latch assemblies if you don't need to. Under normal function, you're gonna get years of service out of this, so you just want to make sure you keep an eye on this guy here, tighten it down accordingly. Tiny little adjustments, and then give it a little dry fire. So you want to be snug, so just pressing in, just latching on there. I'm probably a little bit too tight, so I'm gonna loosen that off just a hair. And again, just a slight push, and then that's gonna walk right in there without having to exert too much force on the stove itself. So there you go. So what I recommend, about every month or so, I let my fire burn completely down, and I'm gonna clean out the firebox, and I'm gonna do this by putting my thermostat to absolute max on the stove, and that's gonna burn off any extra heavy debris that are inside the firebox. Get it nice and clean, clears the glass off. Any buildup that's in there is gonna get burnt right off. As it's dying down and losing fuel in the firebox, I open up the bypass, and that's gonna give it a little extra airflow to burn down a little bit nicer, get rid of some of the bigger chunks and whatnot in the stove. What I'm gonna be doing then is climbing right on inside the firebox here, and I'm gonna be vacuuming out all the little nooks and crannies in here, just giving it a visual inspection. Now they have these ash drawers. Let me know what you think, but I'm not a huge fan. So what they do come with is a little plug at the bottom here. That pops out of there, and then you would sweep your ashes into that, and that goes right down to the bottom here, into this little ash drawer. Of course, that's gonna be filling this whole cavity. So I'm not a big advocate for using these things. I just once a month get in here, give it a good vacuum, and again, I'm only really getting rid of the big chunks. I want to leave a nice base of charcoal and ash in the base of this. Close the bypass for you, or open it I should say. Up inside there, the bypass action working. So that's your primary bypass. That's now open, which is how you're going to start the fire, and in this case maintaining it. I'm going to open this to let it burn out a little better at the tail end. Of course, because the temperatures are going to drop and the catalyst is then going to be burning a little bit less efficiently and pulling a bit more ash and soot, and it's not going to have the temperatures to be functioning optimally. So you can see right up in there's a little bit of graphite grease we got on the cam, and of course that's going to keep the metal from grinding on the metal when you are opening and closing the bypass. That closes down, and a lot of people don't know this, but the cam action on it, so you can see on the side here, you actually want to pull it and lock it in place. It's going to make a big thud, and that is what shows you where everything's at. And of course you can see there's a little adjustment on there as well if you need to adjust your bypass door, because that's also got, you guessed it, another gasket up in there. So a few different things to keep in mind when it comes to your Blaze King stove. If one of the weather strips or gasket seals here isn't quite fitted properly, or of course the one at the back there, if you get any leaking, the one on your bypass door, that's going to cause the fire to draft through both sides, of course, affecting how the air flows inside the unit, cutting down on the overall efficiency of your Blaze King. I hope this helps. They're super easy to maintain. All the parts, of course, recommended to use Blaze King products, as they're all designed and tested for your Blaze King model. If you got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out or visit fireplacesbycameron.ca.